Welcome back, everybody. This is our second client spotlight today. We have Jessica Sanders. Jessica Sanders is the founder of 1,000 Calls a Day. I don't think I've met anyone that knows cold calling and all-around marketing better than her when it comes to talking to home sellers, investment deals, all around real estate. So, Jessica, thank you very much for taking your time to come and kind of share your wisdom, drop your knowledge bombs on the group today. Please introduce yourself, kind of tell people why I think you're awesome.
Hi, so I'm Jessica, and I am the founder and owner of 1,000 Calls a Day. Started it about 7 years ago, and we help real estate professionals, primarily investors and agents, or those who have a hybrid model, actually identify new leads and add them to their sales pipeline. And then some of our clients actually use us to help nurture those leads as well.
And so you do a lot more than just calling. I mean, the name of your company obviously sounds like you do lots of calling. So I'm going to guess you're really good at that, which I've seen you do. But you've also do a lot of other things. So what other things do you do?
So we have a complete creative team that can do graphic design and video editing and create whiteboard animation. We also have ISAs that do lead follow-up and appointment setting, and we create custom drip campaigns for our clients that engage those services. And then we also have our nonverbal assistants, which is basically your general administrative assistant. Once you come into the 1,000 Calls a Day world, we don't want you to go on Upwork or anywhere else to hire a virtual assistant. We want you to stay here.
And I can testify that, when we first met, I was a little skeptical. We ended up hiring 2 of your virtual assistants because they speak such high quality English, and they're intelligent, and they sound like they're sitting right next to you. I love that about, and one of the things that I remember when we first met, I think you were skeptical of us a good amount as well, which most people are, because AI and it's predictions, and there's been a lot of fluff in the market. Just so people can hear it from you and not from me, like what was the kind of when we first met, and kind of why did you come back, and why did we start working together? What was it?
So the first of all, the ability to be able to share with you the results and the positives and the critiques sometimes about the performance or what we were able to get from the data, and being able to share that directly with you so that I got feedback and was able to change the actual scope of the data set that I was pulling was really valuable for my clients. And, because my clients are from the investment side aren't necessarily looking for that upper, higher price point level deal necessarily. They want a bargain. So being able to find those and be able to work with you on the data points that supply that was very helpful. It's not like I can go call up the guy who owns Red X or Vulcan 7 and say, hey, can I get you to tweak this a little bit for me?
Yeah, exactly. Well, we love working with good, smart people that are analytical. So when I heard you come back and not say, oh, it was a little better, it felt good, kind of those like, I think it was better, but no way to actually pinpoint it. I think you came back and you're like, it is, between X and Y better than anything else we've called. And I was like, whoa, okay. How did you do that? And could you talk through like what you do on the back ends that you do for clients and how you tracked and basically validated us?
Yeah. So we took all of the clients that we got leads from for you, and we actually loaded all the numbers that you gave us into the dialer. We skip traced the ones that we couldn't find phone numbers for directly from you. And I know you've got a solution for that now.
We do.
But and we started tracking not only the performance from the entire list that you gave us, but the difference between the stuff that we had to go and skip trace ourselves and the information that we got directly from you. And so what we were able to find was that from traditional circle prospecting, the likely AI data is about twice as effective. So if you're just circle prospecting around your listings, you're going to be half as efficient as just going ahead and buying the data directly from you.
And what kind of scale have you done this at? Like, okay, someone's like, oh yeah, she probably did in a couple of markets, or what is your scale?
So I will tell you that we did, let's see, that's 42,000, 57,000, 53,000. Hang on, still counting.
See, guys, I told you she's very analytical. This is why I like her. She gives you
76,000 list records.
How many?
Total. 76,000 list records total.
Okay. So you've done a couple.
Yeah, just a few, just a little bit.
And those are all in different markets?
All different markets, all over the country, and it's likely to sell. It was the risk lists. It was, it's a combination, but it's all from Likely AI. It's all stuff that you guys have given me a predictability score on.
Oh yeah, I forgot. We gave you you were taking likely sellers, and then you were also buying COVID distress property files. Like,
right.
What was your experience between those two for investors? I'm going to think that's where you compared us to.
Yeah. So the COVID risk list, it was definitely much more of the investor niche, and it kind of opened up my eyes to the ability to target people that weren't maybe necessarily COVID risk, but I looked at the ages of a lot of people in those lists, and they were all elderly, and some of them extremely elderly. So it actually opened my mind to being able to target seniors as one of our techniques and processes to target those people looking to get out of being landlords themselves. Maybe they were just a small mom and pop shop and they've been doing it for 20, 30 years and they were just tired of it. It's hard.
Yeah. Okay. And so you had good response rates. Obviously that it's not an AI, model. It's kind of a three-way algorithm for that. And so It's like, hey, this is a way for us to track COVID, and obviously elderly people or people that were, in kind of first line jobs or had certain types of risk around financials were the main components, but age was definitely part of it. And so that's kind of what stood out to you for the investor side, is you got good responses, good conversations and conversions for people that were multiple, I guess, you said multiple owners. So they had owned more than one.
Yeah. Multiple owners. And then also the fact that they were older or they were in high risk jobs, and they couldn't really focus on their real estate business anymore because they were in the front lines, nurses, doctors, etc.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so when people think about, shifting gears a little bit, when people think about cold calling, it's like, do you just pick up my phone and call, or what's involved? Like, if you really want to do this, like, what does it require to do it well?
Well, first of all, you need to be able to use Excel very well.
Okay. That disqualifies half of everyone listening right now.
Well, because you can't compare any campaign unless you know how to use the analytics to work through those problems. So Excel is your best friend. And then you're going to need to know that scripting matters and that it's also a multi-pronged approach. So we've got several clients that started doing TCPA compliant texting, and that's been really exciting. So we've seen our cold calling become more refined because of the texting industry, or being able to use texting to our advantage. So it's TCPA compliant texting. So it's not blast. It is individual messages sent out in batches to people using a tool or a platform that is compliant with TCPA rules. And because people who would reply to a text message necessarily aren't people who would reply to the phone calls, you get to kind of scrape up and get the use the tool that most people are going to engage with to get them engaging with you. So texting is going to hit a certain person, direct mail is going to hit a certain person, Facebook will, plant the impressions to everyone almost. Yeah. And then calling is where you're going to pick up everybody else. The neat thing about doing the calling last is everybody who is going to tell you to go pound sand on your call is usually going to do that in the text message first. So you don't have to worry about your assistants, your virtual assistants getting yelled at and sad.
So do you, from a best practices perspective, do you implement a multi-panel approach in all markets, or do you let demographics dictate what you start with, or what approach you take, what you lead with? How do you look at that?
So I've got a couple of resources that I use for the direct mail aspect of it, because I've got close relationships with a company that does a lot of direct mail. So they've got insights to how that works across the country and which markets that works best in. Yeah. And so I try to intelligently use the data that's at my fingertips to be able to send direct mail. And then as far as texting and cold calling goes, after the direct mail piece happens, we want to be able to text and call when that direct mail piece hopefully has made it inside the door. And we want all of those to come after any sort of impression ads or pay-per-click type ads are being run to these data sets. So if you're going to have a custom audience on Facebook, we want that to come out first with the impression hit, and then the direct mail, as long as it makes sense in your market. Hopefully you'll stack it with something else so that you're laser focusing and targeting that direct mail piece. Mm-hmm. And then the texting and the calling
at the end. Okay. So you kind of go from, you build awareness, and then you start to drip in your acquisition channels based upon market. If it's older, maybe you go direct mail. If it's a younger, maybe you do text. Older, maybe you also do calling. Is that kind of what helps you guide? Okay.
Well, yeah. And then also knowing that if you're calling a list with older people in it, instead of letting the phone only ring 4 times, which is kind of the standard that everybody talks about, well, maybe that old guy in the recliner isn't going to get up in 4 rings.
He needs 6. Give me 6.
He needs 6. 6 rings. Come on.
That's funny. I feel bad all of a sudden. Like I'm having a visual of a guy in the armchair, like, oh gosh, getting up, like that commercial, like, you know, when the kid calls the grandma from the living room to bring him an orange soda, and it's like, dude, that's awful. But this is someone getting up to actually talk to you about selling a property that they probably are sick of managing. Yeah, because that's really what you found, right?
Right.
Okay. So I love to hear, do you have any stories about how your ISAs, or for one of your clients, you know, they were prospecting likely sellers, and you know, there's a good story or funny story around what the conversion was, or the reaction, or the engagement, or anything like that people might find interesting or funny or valuable?
Well, I do have a great story about one of my clients that's in Oregon, and we were calling the likely it was the COVID risk list, I think. But we were calling that list, and along with likely sellers for those 2 counties. And we actually went from the day the prospector identified the lead, passed it over. The acquisitions manager called, and they were able to set the appointment.
Yeah.
They went out on the appointment the same day with the contract. Contract was signed.
Really?
From opportunity identified to contract signed, all in the same day. It's the only time I've ever seen that happen.
Okay, so least likely sellers are not cold predictions. These people are in a moment of change. Is that a way you would describe it? How would you describe them?
In a position of transition, like a lifestyle transition, a life change.
They're likely transitioning. Maybe we need to change the name. Okay, so that's a good story. When you said earlier that they were twice as good at circle prospecting, not everyone probably knows what circle prospecting is, and in the ones that do, can you explain what kind of breaking down what twice as good means from like a end of the, you know, cash in pocket of a, you know, let's say someone comes and hires you and they're usually likely sellers. What would that mean?
So, well, what it means is you'll have ROI twice as fast. So,
twice as fast. Okay.
Twice
as fast.
So, the interesting part about circle prospecting, and it's something that's good to do on a certain level, but I used to always like to tell clients that were interested in doing that, just don't bet on it always turning out to be okay. Like, it's a lot of calling and nothing happens. It's good to keep people aware of what you're doing in your market area, but I like to think of it as like your protein shake after workout, not like your dinner. It's not
protein shake after workout. Okay, so this is your recovery shake. Got it.
Yeah. It's not dinner. It's not going to fuel you for the rest of the day. It's not going to fuel your business. It's important, but don't rely on it for all of your marketing efforts. And even in an extremely hot market like it has been recently, it's just not something you can rely on. It's too random. You don't know how long they've owned their home. You don't know what their situation is. It just doesn't. It's not as fruitful as when you can laser focus and target in on people who are in transitional periods of life, most likely.
I love that. It's weird how likely just starts rolling off the tongue.
Yeah.
Right. So 2 questions there. So circle prospecting, just so people that don't know what it is that if you have a listing or just listed or just sold and you're doing the 9x9, 10x10, 100 around, like something like that. Is that what you mean by that?
Yeah, so circle prospecting is either doing just listed, just sold, or if you're trying to penetrate into a certain market space and you're pulling all the phone numbers and all the homeowners in that particular neighborhood, area, zip code, whatever that is, and you're trying to get the word out about listings or opportunities elsewhere and generate business.
Got it.
So okay. It's literally, let me put my finger on a map and draw a circle around it, and I want to call all the people in that circle.
Okay. Yep. That kind of the traditional farm approach. It's not a full market, but proximity wise. Okay. Right. Thank you. That's a good definition. So if that's your dessert or after dinner cocktail, what is dinner?
So dinner is going to be something with predictions that you can stack and filter and laser focus. So anything that is got multiple, what I like to call multiple pain points. There are multiple motivating factors. Likely AI is a great source for that, to kind of set it and forget it. If you don't want to have to do all the purchasing and stacking of the list yourself, then you guys are a great option to have it done for you.
Done for you. I like that. One of the things that we always get, because whenever we talk to someone about, hey, this is a best practice for this or that, 2 things that I'd love to have you share as much as you'd like is, your best practices for cold calling. So if someone wanted to do it on their own, like what would you recommend them try? And then 2, that kind of goes along with that, maybe share a script or 2 that you're comfortable with and saying, hey, like these are things that kind of a couple of pearls without giving away the secret sauce. I know that we've talked before and you're like, I'll tell you everything because it's so damn hard. Like you're going to hire me anyway. So what can you offer to people that are, kind of wanting to try it themselves? And then if they decide that, wow, I can't do it all, I'm definitely going to call Jessica.
So we have a script that's been, we've been tweaking it for about 2 years.
Okay.
And so I think we finally gotten it to a place where it's complete. Unless something changes and we find that something else works better. But for now, it's working really well. And it's really simple. It's, hi, this is Jessica, and I work with a local investor. And I was just wondering if you've ever considered selling your home for cash.
Look at that. Simplicity wins. Perfect. Okay.
I don't ask them their name. I don't say what address I'm calling about. I don't give them any opportunity to tell me no until I ask them if they've ever considered selling their home.
Now that is a pearl of wisdom right there. Don't use a name. Don't give them a reason to say no until you get to ask them if they want to sell their home.
Right.
Now, do you use that same or version of that for the retail side? Yep. Rather than sell your home, it's list your home, or what is it?
It's still sell your home. It's just not for cash.
Take the cash off See, I told you guys, she's got this thing nailed down. Okay, well, I mean, I know I don't want to take a ton of your time tonight. I really appreciate it. I know you're running a business as well. Is there anything else that you would want to talk to, that you think would be valuable to someone listening to this, who's thinking about doing it on their own or wasn't really sure if they want to try implementing or adding cold calling to their overall marketing package, that might sway them to give it a shot?
The biggest thing that I can say, and it's towards all marketing really, is the fortune is really in the follow-up. So we can generate leads for you and we can put stuff in your pipeline all day long. If you don't have the systems in place to follow up with those leads, then they're never going to get closed. So making sure that you have a solid foundation for that is extremely important. And then never leave them alone once they're in there.
Never leave them alone.
Never leave them alone.
Does your ISA team continue to follow up with them even after they've been placed in the pipe? Okay.
Yeah. So we've got the 2 sides of the coin. So in traditional real estate, a lot of agents see an ISA as both a prospector and somebody who does lead follow-up and appointment setting. For us, we've separated those roles because they're actually two different strengths. So we've got our prospectors and we've got our ISAs. And our ISAs have been with us cold calling for at least a year to a year and a half. And they get trained to set appointments and nurture and follow up and actually stay top of mind to the entire pipeline. And
so taking this from cradle to grave, I'm going to try to summarize what I've heard in the last 20 minutes, is that cold calling is a valuable asset to add to your mix at the right time. Use something to warm up the brand recognition, and then calling or texting are great options, which you do both for the acquisition component of an overall marketing plan.
Right.
And in order to get the most out of an ISA, rather than using a filtered list or a random segment of a market, you've seen in the markets that you've been with us, I know it's like Portland and Houston and the East Coast and Florida and a couple other ones. I can't remember them all, but
yeah, they're Baltimore, Orange County, Florida, Clark County, Nevada, Fairfax, Virginia, like Hudson County, New Jersey, like
all over the country,
all over
all the metropolitan areas. Is that what I thought you said was interesting? I didn't think of the time to value. You said, when you said twice as good, I was like, oh, maybe it's like the conversion is better. But you're saying it's twice as fast to value. Like you would be having to spend twice as much money if you're paying a monthly amount of marketing, doing direct mail just to that circle or that farm, whereas using technology today, to kind of narrow in where you want to go, has produced twice as good, twice as fast results for your clients in all those different markets. Is that right?
So, yeah, exactly. So with a traditional circle prospecting approach, I always tell my retail clients, and not just circle prospecting, even older expireds, any sort of blanket one-dimensional marketing technique, it's going to be 12 to 18 months.
12 to 18. Wait, so when they start with you, say, hey, wait 12 to 18 months, you have to give me that much time to deliver,
build a pipeline.
Fill it up. Okay.
And the soonest I've ever seen anybody write a contract is 9 months on those traditional marketing avenues.
And your story in Oregon was what? Was that one day?
One day.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I thought I'd share that since I'd never seen that before.
Yeah, you've told me that before. I'm loving these client spotlight videos because I keep learning more about how our clients are using it in ways that I wasn't aware of, or their metric for success is varied. And I love that's time to value is something that you've seen and tangible for your clients.
Yeah.
Okay, so guys, there's a lot to do when you do cold calling, and Jessica's expanding her business into text messaging and kind of into that whole Twilio network. I think she's done a fantastic job for us personally as our business, but I've also been able to watch her do what she does with likely sellers. So if you do want to try it or implement it, how would they contact you?
Go to info or send an email to info@1000callsaday, or they can go to our website or our Facebook page and send us a message, and we'll have somebody reach out. Michelle or Maisel will contact them back.
Excellent, guys. I tell you, if you want to try cold calling and the whole mix that Jessica can offer, she does a fantastic job. That is my testimonial, as I've had the proof is clearly visible to me. Anything else you want to tell the peeps before we get off for the day?
Make sure to dial smartly.
Dial smartly. Oh, I feel like there's a penalty or a lawsuit associated with that if you're not smart. Is that right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. Do your homework.
All right, well, Jessica, thank you very much for your time today. I will maybe plan to do a follow-up in a couple of months and see how it progresses implementing the multi-channel. I know that you've been doing it, but I don't know how many of our clients, joint clients, that you've done it with. So love to see how that kind of evolves as well. And thank you for your time. And until then.
Thanks for having me on. Talk to you later.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.